there could still be other incomings at Chelsea as well in the next couple of days. Chelsea have made a move to sign Ivan Toney from Brentford. Chelsea are after a proven goal scorer to be their new number 9 and have been also linked with a move for the Napoli striker Victor Osimhen. And now Gianluca Di Marzio at Sky Italy said last night that Chelsea are willing to send their first offer to Napoli in the upcoming hours for Osimhen. Chelsea, it seems, pushing hard for a number 9 in the next couple of days. If it was a straight shootout between Ivan Toney and Victor Osimhen, who would you prefer to have? I think from Chelsea's perspective, what they need from a number 9 is someone that's no one guarantees goals because moves can go in different ways. But I feel like Toney is more of a sure thing for Chelsea than Osimhen at the moment. I think Osimhen's had a difficult 12 months. I think his stock has fallen. I think there's more question marks over Osimhen than there would have been 12 months ago. I think with Ivan Toney, he's probably not a pure goal scorer like Osimhen, but what I think he does do, I think he's a very, very good facilitator. If you look at what Chelsea are building in the front positions in terms of the players that play wide and the players that play number 10, I think there's potentially a lot of goal and assist output from the players that play in those positions. And what I think Toney does as a number 9, I think that would be more beneficial to the players that Chelsea have in the building already than what I think of Osimhen. Also, I think Jackson, you don't want to stunt his development. I think there's a good striker there in Jackson. I probably didn't think that when he first joined, but at the second half of last season, I started to watch more of him and think, yeah, there's something to work with here. I think if Osimhen comes in, I think they've got too many similar traits, and I think that would harm Jackson. I think with Toney, they're completely different strikers. So, although Jackson probably wouldn't play every game, I think he's more likely to get football with Toney there because they're different types of players. So for me, if it was me in charge of Chelsea, I'd want Toney. And I'm split because I think although there is the argument that Ivan Toney is potentially a sure thing, he does score a lot of penalties. And I don't think Cole Palmer is going to give up pens anytime soon. And Osimhen, as I was told by one of my friends, is almost allergic to taking pens, so they won't have that debate. But I do see the argument of bringing other players into the game. But then I also think Chelsea are going to have so many creative players that actually just having a man who's in the box and wants to score goals and Osimhen might also work. In reality, it's a phenomenal problem to have. You've got Ivan Toney, who's a Premier League proven player, and Victor Osimhen, who I feel like probably with all the noise going on at Napoli, he's kind of going like my time here is done. I've won the Scudetto for them. He's a hero over there. Now, can I go and do this elsewhere? And I think Chelsea feels like a really good place for that to happen. Because although obviously Nicolas Jackson is there, you'd imagine he'd come in and be the number 1 straight away. Yeah, Napoli tend to be fairly difficult to do transfer deals with. They're always tough negotiators. 2 days to go then. What's the feeling? Do you think that Chelsea will get a striker over the line before the deadline? I mean, you said it there, Dave, when we were talking about Ivan Toney initially, that Chelsea want a proven number 9 goal scorer before the deadline. So it sounds like they definitely want one. But having watched them against Wolves, yes, Wolves defensively were a bit shaky in the second half. But you look at kind of all the creativity, Dan, you mentioned all the talent they have already in-house. I think we have to also strip it back to what are the expectations for Chelsea this season. It'll be a Champions League spot, I think, would be successful for them. You look at the squad they have, you would think that the talent in that squad can definitely do that. I look at the 4 that ended that game, Joao Felix, Pedro Neto, Cole Palmer, and Noni Madueke. I mean, that front 4 is going to trouble quite a lot of defenses this season. Now, whether Nicolas Jackson and Felix score the goals themselves, we'll see. But there's definitely enough goals, I think, in that team to challenge for top 4 and to play some really interesting football. And I agree with you, Dan, in terms of I don't want to see Nicolas Jackson's development stunned because I think there's definitely a player there. He's only 23 years old, and I think between him and Felix playing perhaps a false 9, they definitely have enough options there. I'd say the only slight problem that Chelsea might have is when else are you going to have a number 9 like Osimhen or Ivan Toney actually available to buy when there's not that much competition. I think the temptation is probably where Chelsea are going. We could get Osimhen in through the door and no one's going after him. So I'd be tempted, and obviously it's a transfer show, so I just want more transfers.